Hey beauties, welcome to the Clean Beauty Podcast. Did you know that unlike most everything else in America, cosmetics are not regulated? This means that corporations can use thousands of potentially harmful ingredients that I personally know can cause health problems. I'm your host, Cassandra McClure. I've been in the beauty business for over 10 years as a celebrity makeup artist that advocates for safer and more sustainable cosmetics. Join me each week for important news, exclusive interviews, and more on the Clean Beauty Revolution. Okay, you guys, this is so exciting. You're in for like such a treat. I'm going to be real with you right now. We're going to do a little Instagram story because Brittany brought over a little bit of orange juice because I was like, I have some champagne, but not OJ, and we need mimosas. It's 11 in the morning, but hey, this is work. Like, this is what a beautiful life looks like. And it's just so funny because I was like trying to think of all the ways I could introduce Brittany. And then I was like, you know what? She came over the other day and she told me this really amazing thing. And I wanted to just share it with you guys because so much has happened since then. That's just like really amazing stuff, like things that have just happened in my life. And so basically what she said was that if you have bad thoughts and you can recognize them, but you just like kick them out of your brain. But like you can.
Okay. So I know what I said. So I'm a huge follower of Louise Hay. She passed away, but I always mention her because she is a branch of who I am. And she says in one of her YouTube meditations, we are going to have negative thoughts, and they're like plants and they're like weeds, and the weeds will grow and grow, and it's really important to garden your thoughts. So you have to weed out those negative thoughts in order for you to have the positive, beautiful, blossoming life that you want. So that's how cheers to that. And so I always incorporate that, especially with patients that are women, men too, but I think women overthink things a lot more. So I'm always preaching what she's preaching.
Yeah. So since then, I've had so many fears come up because I've had so many different opportunities this week. And it's funny because between doing meditation, manifestations, and then actually getting rid of the bad thoughts that come to my mind when a good thing comes up, like for instance, I have been manifesting meeting Alex Rodriguez like literally my entire life. My mom and I used to watch him on TV. We went to Mariners games. Like he used to play for the Mariners in Seattle, and like we loved him, and he was number 13, and that was my mom's number, and like it was a huge thing. And like 20 years later, I get a call like on Monday about going to work on a TV set with him. And I was like immediately like, oh my God, what if I mess up? Like, what if he doesn't like me? All these things. And then I remember what Brittany said, and she's like, you need to push that out of your mind, get rid of that thought, and then think about all the good things. So instead of responding and being like, oh, I don't know, like, let me check, I was like, no, of course I can do it. Like, here's all the extra things I can do. And then they came back and wrote me an email and secured me for not only that, but Tyra Banks in like a few months. And the same thing happened with New York Fashion Week. I was so nervous about like taking something on that I didn't know that was coming up so soon. But I just like got rid of all the negative thoughts. And then by the time that the negative thought was like gone, I had basically made room in my mind for these new, better opportunities. But if I was still dwelling on the negative and I was actually worrying about it, like I feel like the universe wouldn't have gave me the opportunity that it did. Like it presented new ones that my brain wouldn't have literally been able to wrap its head around. And so I just, that's why I wanted Brittany here today, because she has always inspired me. Her email is just funny. It's like inspire like fire. I always think to her when I'm kind of like, what would Brittany do? What would she say? She's just the most positive person, such a light in anyone's life that she comes around. When we first met, it was at the Chamber of Commerce at a meeting. We hit it off.
Actually, it was at Rising Tide.
Oh, was it?
We met through Chamber of Commerce people, and I was inspired by your Rising Tide meetings.
Yeah, and then you, I think, invited me, or I thought we did meet at the Chamber, though. But anyway.
We did a lot of Chamber stuff, but I remember going to Rising Tide through another female that was there and meeting you, and then you were really into cosmetic facial acupuncture.
Yeah.
And your whole group of beauty people, and I was like, yay.
Yeah, that's so true. And then I had the a wedding expo coming up, and you ended up coming, doing like acupuncture on me and setting up a booth. It was so fun. And then we just kept hanging out, and it was our business and personal relationships just kept growing over the past like 2 years. We did IPSY together. Last year in San Francisco, we met Kandee Johnson together. We did like so many amazing things, like things that, again, like I've been manifesting, and when she's around, like good things always happen. It's always good vibes. She's helped me with acupuncture on my back. We did a fire cupping video on Facebook, and like it went viral and had like 100,000 views in like a week. It was insane. I've never done fire cupping. Went to her office studio with another gal who was assisting me, and we did it, and we're like, oh, we'll get a couple of views or whatever, but like literally it went viral. And then ever since then, like she comes over, she'll do like her acupuncture. I just thought acupuncture was just like needling, but she does like massage. She has like, I don't know, I've just read through amazing books that she had. She's always studying. You've been in school for like literally forever.
Yeah, I've been in school my whole life. So I grew up in Millbrae. If you know the Bay Area, Millbrae is heavily influenced by Asian culture. So my whole life, I always had, my mother is super into holistic medicine. She has her reasons why she got there, and I was just influenced by that. And then I had my environmental factors. I also have my auntie who's a feng shui practitioner, and for people that don't know what feng shui is wind water. So it's like the placement of your environment and how you process your environment to attract what you want or who you are in the universe. So I was always really intrigued by that. And then Chinese medicine just took it to like the next level of elements and medicine and meeting the chi of the person, which is like the spirit energy of the person, and how you heal it. And so I went to USF, went right out of high school. I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I just copied one of my best friends because she was a year older and I thought she was so cool. So she went to USF, I went to USF, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. I remember going through like a list of things what I didn't want, and then I just came to communications because I love talking to people. I needed to basically reinvent who I was, how I communicate. And so I studied that, but it wasn't my passion. It was like just to refine myself. And then I went down to LA after I graduated, and I wanted to do something to do with music because I was a minor in musicianship and tonal theory. My dad's a musician. So I wanted to do something with communications and music. And I went down to LA. I got into the scene. I met a bunch of famous people, and just things weren't really working out for me. It was probably my thought process, but also there was something missing in my life, and I wanted to go deeper. And so I came back to my hometown with my family, and I talked to a long-term doctor that I had growing up that my mom is close to, and he just helped us. And he was like he's this white guy that's really into Chinese medicine. He always intrigued me, like as far as like how much he knew, and he'd talk about China, and I just thought he was really weird but really cool all at the same time. And I remember emailing him, and I was just kind of like in a down area of my life, and I was reading all these books and refining myself, but at the same time, like I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I emailed him, and I was like, hey, tell me more about Chinese medicine. And he just emailed me, I think you should go to the school ACTCM in the city. You'd really like it. Because we always had these deep conversations about Chinese medicine. So I looked it up online. I called them right away, and they were like, okay, well, school starts in like 4 days. Do you want to have an interview? And I was like, yes, when's the interview? And they're like, can you come in today or tomorrow? And I went there, and I had the interview, and they were like, well, we would like you to come to our school. And I was like, sign me up for the accelerated program. I'm on this. And so my family just was like, what are you doing, Brittany? And I remember the first day of school, I was like, this is my fit. Like, I want to learn about the universe in books and how it relates to medicine and how come there are people that are having results with this and it's natural. So then that was my whole journey, and I met like.
What year was that?
That was in 2012.
Wow.
So that was my master's.
And you graduated. I did her makeup for her graduation, and then you like went back to school again. And I was like, wait, what?
So I did the master's program there. It was 4 years with clinical. So we treat people too upstairs. And then the program changed when I was there. So they now introduced a doctorate program because the master program was 4 years long, which is like a heavily intense program. They used those credits for the doctorate program. And I was like, you know what? I've already came this far. Let's just do the doctorate. And that's how I became a doctor of Chinese medicine.
Yeah. I think my favorite memory, though, of our time together is when we went to Bottle Rock. It was so fun. We had like a hired car, literally drive us there and back. We got to like go backstage and like do all this crazy. It was just so fun. Like, I haven't been to a festival in a long time. I think like I used to go to Coachella in my younger days, and so that was just like a nice refresh to go with like 4 other girls and just like wear flower crowns. We were the only ones in the entire festival who had real flower crowns because, hello, I'm connected to the wedding industry. So we had our friend Sarah Dubon, shout out to Dubon Floral Designs, who like made us custom flower crowns, delivered them on the morning of. And then we got like a freaking Blacktown car to drive us up to like Napa. It was like the coolest.
So fun.
So we have to do that next year. Yeah. Bottle Rock, we need VIP tickets, by the way. So yeah, our friendship is so fun, and we've gotten to do so much, but I just think what Brittany does is so interesting. Like, you have such a cool life, and your son is just beautiful. I always learn new things, and then you're always teaching me. You always have some book in your purse or like some form, and your energy, even like when you touch me, I feel very light. Like, I feel like, ooh, that feels good.
Thank
you. You feel like you have a magic touch in a way.
Thank you. I really like learning. Like, I have a thirst for knowledge. I probably have ADD, but I channel it in a different way. So I'm always like, I want new everything all the time. I also feel like the reason why I am the person that I am today is because I've had a lot of negative people around me growing up. And it wasn't because they wanted to be negative. It was just like that was what was passed down to them. They were always worrying, always having anxiety about how we're going to pay the bills, just stuff that was just like so unnecessary and caused so much anxiety to like a lot of the kids in our family. And I always had this aunt that was like so magical, and everyone thought she was like so crazy. And they're like, oh, don't listen to her. Like, she lives in like a different universe. Like, she's not really that successful or whatever, whatever they wanted to say. And I always was like, oh my God, but she has cool energy and she always makes me feel so good. I want to be just like her. And anyway, so that's how I got into Chinese medicine. And
how is she now? Like,
she's a feng shui practitioner. She lives her life. She makes her own schedule. She's just awesome. She lives in Arizona. And her name is Roseanne Resnack. She has a company called Elements and Energy, and she just inspires me. And also, she is the head of our family meeting that we have once a month. And it's just refinement. It's like where we want to go, what are our goals, what are we like really looking internally, what are we doing that is not letting us achieve our goals. And then we really refine ourselves. And she has like all of her mentors, and she compiles information. And it's just really great just to like have that sense of like womanhood. And I think that's where my passion is like people don't realize, I think it was like on CNN, women of the ages of like 40 to 60 or something like that. And the mortality rate with the opioid crisis and everything, stressors, went to 260%. So those people in that category of age are dying faster. And it's really sad. And I have a lot of passion for women because not a lot of people like realize like how hard it is to be a mom, or just like not even a birthing mom, like a mom to somebody else or in their family, because they have to like cook,
or
clean.
a man.
Or man, yeah, exactly. And like things are just like so not appreciated for women. And that's in my practice. When I diagnose somebody, they come in, right? And then I ask them a series of 10 questions, which we go really deep, because the only way you can heal is if you go deep. I ask them a series of 10 questions. It goes from urination to bowel movement to digestion to emotional issues. And then I read their tongue and their pulse, and I make a TCM diagnosis. And in TCM, we don't say like you have cancer, you have a sinus infection. We don't say that. We say the syndrome that your body is going through. So for example, like I have skin issues that people probably don't notice about me. So I have oily skin underneath, but dry skin as it manifests out. So I would say that's spleen qi deficiency with dampness, but it's manifesting as kidney qi and yin deficiency, which means just dryness on this top. So I have a certain formula for myself that I use, that I created, and I've been using it for the past 2 weeks, and I feel like my acne is getting a little bit better. Like people can't see the acne, but I notice it because it's my skin. Mm-hmm. And so I've been using it, and my skin feels like freaking soft, beautiful.
It looks great.
Thanks. In Chinese medicine, we like to say this is the syndrome your body's going through, and how are we going to get back to homeostasis, which is internal equilibrium? What are we going to do? What kind of herbs are we going to give you? At what point prescription am I going to put the points in so the body can go to those areas and return back to equilibrium? And when we put those needles in, since we are energy, or what the ancients like to say, qi, we want to make sure that the energy is going the proper flow, like feng shui. And if it goes the opposite way, then that's when an ease becomes a dis-ease. So anyway, it gets really deep, but a lot of people think that it's like therapy that I do, and I'm not a therapist. I just analyze your energy, and I direct it so that you can look internally and see what are you doing environmentally, what are you doing physically, where are your thoughts, so that you can fix that. Because I'm not the healer. You're the healer of your own energy. And I always tell people, like, your breath is ultimately what's going to heal you. I'm just putting in the points where the electricity of your qi, your energy is, and I want that energy to flow out. And so I kind of look at energy as like a telephone pole or like a plumbing pole. The water, if the water is stuck, it can't go anywhere, so it's going to create stagnation, and that's going to manifest as cold feet and hands. And people don't understand, like, that's actually like a problem for people. Cold feet and hands is like a liver qi stagnation, the blood's not pumping properly, and then there's all these other manifestations that person could be thinking or making and manifesting. Anyway, It gets really deep.
It's okay. It's good.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like this is what people need to hear. And I think another thing, going back to the like very beginning, getting rid of those negative thoughts and manifesting, one thing that I've noticed when I'm doing my affirmations, like I guess my fiance, I don't know if it's type A, but it's like, or they don't believe in he doesn't believe in crystals. He doesn't believe in energy. He doesn't believe that when I have my old diffuser on, it changes my mood. And he doesn't really believe in what you would call Chinese medicine. There's not a lot of scientific backing to prove horoscopes, right? He does not believe in the horoscope, but because I believe in it, it's like you're in charge of your own destiny. It's what you believe.
And on that point, it's like, I always revert back to like, yeah, I love Chinese medicine, but at the end of the day, the patient's belief system is ultimately what's going to heal them so that they can flow through their own life. So if I can see that perspective ahead of time, then I will be like, okay, well, maybe you don't believe in Chinese medicine. Maybe you need to go to a chiropractor. Maybe you need to go to an Ayurvedic Indian doctor or whatever, like to see where that they can like analyze themselves. And if they're not having problems in their life, then it doesn't matter, right? Like if they're flowing through life and they're being a productive human being and they're happy with themselves, it doesn't really matter if they believe in it or not. At the end of the day, they just have to, like, everybody has to realize we are energy. Like without these bodies, we're still like something that's like a force, and we're all connected. So that's how I believe. And I try to meet people like where they are in their life.
You have a few specialties. You work with women who are trying to conceive,
Yes.
who are trying to get pregnant. Like, talk, I guess, us through that. And then you kind of have a couple other things that you like really focus on. And you also work really closely with like a very successful mentor.
Yes. So my specialty is women and general pain in everybody. So women is my passion. I help people that are obviously like in Silicon Valley that have careers and wait to have kids until they're like 40s. And so it's obviously difficult to have a child when you're older, but it's not impossible. It's just, you know, we age, and that's something that is like a factor. So I specialize with fertility, and a lot of people have been on birth control, that makes them not conceive. And so when I have them in my treatment room, I ask them a series of questions. They are usually going under IVF transfers or IUI transfers. So I just ask them a series of 10 questions, and I also validate who they are. Like, I think that's really important with women in our area, is like validating the fact that they are a woman. They have their own woman issues to deal with. They're probably mothering somebody else in their life. I validate them, and then I put their needles in when they're on the treatment table. And usually it will be, you know, some on their tummy and on their hands and feet for sure. And it depends really on the person. If they have a different diagnosis, everybody has different diagnoses, but we really just try to get their body to homeostasis. And so that's where my success really is with these women, and they come back and they book and they love me. And it's just because simply I'm validating them. Like, you are a woman, you're a goddess. You need to realize that, process that, and just like really look at yourself in the mirror. And then I do a lot of like affirmation work in the mirror. So I'll give them a list of things to say to themselves, looking at themselves in the mirror. And that really helps them. And then also physically, I give them like nutritional support depending on the diagnosis of the patient. So whether that being eating blackberries or black sesame seeds, or whether that being like some issue that's surfaced, like eating sunflower seeds to help them go to the bathroom more, or just giving them like an herbal supplement for 2 weeks, and then usually they'll come back and be like, wow, like my sleep is better, or my digestion is better, and what'd you do to me? And it's just like, really, I'm analyzing all the facts that they gave me about their body and how I can transform it through like the ancient wisdom that I studied.
I love that. I was also thinking, what are we going to call this? Episode 2, but I think it'll just naturally come to us. But there's so much here. I feel like everyone can learn something and take something away from this, whatever that might be. And since we met, like, I wasn't really that physical. I noticed once I started taking care of myself, the universe started taking care of me. And I felt like there was a lot, like, I was always like, poor me, like, I'm, you know, going to do this, and then I wouldn't. And I would also, and it was like, basically I was telling myself lies, that I was okay, that I didn't need to actually work out after I planned on it, but then I didn't, and things like that. And then I pushed myself to a certain place where I was like, I have to force myself to sign up for this class that I'm paying for it if I don't show up. Like, that's the kind of kick in the ass that I need. But once I started taking care of my mind, my body, I started doing rituals, which I never really had done before. Things just became way more clear, like in terms of alignment. And I feel like after meeting you, there was a definite, we don't do treatments like every week or anything, but like, you definitely got me thinking in a different way and with a different mindset. And that is contributing to my success. And I believe
Thanks.
that, yes, and I believe in you and what you're doing, and other practitioners, doctors, artists who are helping women in this way, and focusing solely on women and expanding the universe, the world, with more little humans. And so I love that you do that. Hopefully I won't need your services when I need to have a baby, but like hopefully I'll be good. But I just love that. And there's just so much love and light and everything that you're doing. And I thought that it is like a super part of being a clean beauty in the world. Like, you need to be living clean in like every aspect that you possibly can. And so it's just always nice to hear what you have to say, what advice you have to give. I love that, like, once you have a client relationship, you text, like, you always text me when you're thinking of me, and you're like, oh, I just had this brilliant idea. Like, what do you think? Like, you're always thinking outside the box. And so I've loved implementing ideas that you've had for my business and my personal life. It's been really awesome to have all of those kind of things culminate. And like, when people have the same idea and they tell you like within the same time frame, you're like, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do. But like, Diane will text me and then you'll text me and I'm like, oh my God, I have to do this. Yeah. And so it's like one of those things where you're like, okay, things are in alignment, and they continue to kind of keep going in that direction. And I'm so excited for you to come to Alt Summit. It works out where you're going to come out to Palm Springs with us in March. For anyone listening, little plug for Alt Summit, use the code SPARK to get your ticket to come meet us, SPARK. It'll get you $50 off a ticket. But we're so excited to do that. We're going to like a week-long all women's conference. Yes. So you're going to meet so many amazing, influential women there. I'm going and I'm speaking and I'm doing an installation, but they actually did a call for helpers, like for volunteers. And they were like, anyone who's not like working with us already, like if you can come volunteer to help us with like coordinating speakers and stuff like that. And like, I actually volunteered, even though I'm working there, to just help out even more, because I believe in everything that they're doing. I believe in the mission of like empowering women and like connecting them all from around the world, and like this just beautiful cause. And so I'm so excited to like meet like not only celebrities, but just like all kinds of influencers from around the world, like different artists doing different things. And so I'm excited. Brittany's coming with me along with our entire clean beauty team. Like we have I have people flying in from Seattle and New York, and it's just so fun already. So I'm so excited.
And also, I want to say that I super appreciate you, Cassandra, because you are such a hard worker, and knowing your history and where you came from, that is so inspiring to so many people, and you're affecting so many people. And I just really appreciate your work ethic.
Yeah. I believe that it is all up to you. And like, your experience with your family or people you grew up with, like stressing about certain things. It was also like, for me, I had to get away from that energy. I definitely am really sensitive to energy. I've gotten myself out of a lot of situations in life where we'd be in a group and one of the girls would be like, why aren't you okay with like us being here with these guys, or things like that? And I'd be like, I don't feel right. And it would turn out that those are really bad people. And I've saved my lives and my friends' lives on multiple occasions. It's about being in tune with who you are and being able to read energy of other people. And I've been able to do that with good and bad people, and then everything in between. And you just know something's off. And I feel like getting to that place, like, not everyone has it, because if you haven't been in really bad situations, you don't know what the difference is. Everyone's just like nice all the time. So you don't know when there's an evil spirit or soul lurking around. But when you are put into a situation where there's that energy there taking control of you or wanting to, you kind of like, you get into that fight or flight mode where you're like, and you have to make that decision. And I feel like we connected because we're like, we both can read people. We can walk into a room, know who to talk to, know who to avoid, right? Yeah, and we've always just done that naturally.
I feel like naturally we do. And I think a lot of women would relate to that, because we do have like a motherly instinct. But also on the flip side, I feel like you're really good at that, because I'm good at that too. But at the same time, I feel like, oh my gosh, is this a negative thought, Brittany? Should I weed this one out, or should I really listen to my intuition? And that is where you come into my life, where you validate that, like, oh no, you had that thought, and that's a validation, and you should really honor your intuition for that. So,
well, when we're together, it's like, that's why women together are way more powerful, because we can tell each other with a little whisper, like, hey, does this feel weird? And you're like, yep, this feels weird. Let's get out of here. Or when we were at the Beauty Ipsy thing, you were like, there's a huge line for Kandee Johnson, but I think you should just walk up to her. And I was like, okay. And so I was like, I don't think I should wait in that line either. And I know that that's wrong. People listening like, oh, you cut in front of everybody. But literally she went on the floor and you were like, there she is. Like, you've been manifesting this. Walk up to her. And she like gave me the biggest hug, and I went in front of everyone. But
and
like,
you were the first one.
I was the first person to talk to her.
But I think that, yes, you shouldn't cut in line, but at the same time, if you really look up to somebody and you feel a strong connection and you guys are somehow influencing each other, or you're drawn to it, you have to follow that.
And by the way, she did say, who's first? And no one stepped up, and I waited a second and no one said anything because everyone was too scared. And I was like, I would love to. And like, all the security was just kind of like, okay. Because they were like, no one else stepped up. And then the girl started like, oh, I was first. But it's like, you didn't take that moment, and I took the moment. And I think it is about seizing the day, seizing the moment, stepping up when no one else is there. And I think like, those are the kinds of things that like remind me why I'm friends with someone like you, because it's about empowering each other. And, you know, I was nervous. I was scared. There was a million things that it could have went wrong, but I did it because I had someone rooting me on, and I wouldn't have done it if it wasn't for you. And then we had someone like Sophia who was with us that went and tried, and she didn't succeed because she didn't believe deep down in herself, or whatever the case may be. Like, the moment had already passed. It was already too late. Now the security was like up and guarding her, right? Because they're like, okay, we don't want anyone else leaking in. So the moment passed. And so I think that's just like life. Like, you have to recognize when the time is right. And usually it's like a scary moment. It's never like perfect. And I think like, I'm so glad I'm not the type that needs everything to be perfect, because I've always started a lot of things and it's never been right. Nothing's ever been perfect. It's like becoming a mom. Like, you're never ready, right? Like,
that's another thing. You just opened a whole nother door of conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But when I had my son, he's my firstborn, hopefully my only. But anyway, when I had him, I had this magical angel come to me in my life. And she is now my nanny. And she always told me, she was like, how's motherhood? You know, there's no book for motherhood. How's it going? And she would kind of like, not mock me, but just like, you know, be a little sarcastic. And I'd be like, oh my God, what are you saying to me? Like, am I doing this right? Am I doing this wrong? And she's like, Brittany, there's no handbook to be a mom. If you need me, talk to me. But I mean, you know, and that's a thing, like, that is a huge problem in women in society, is like, there is no handbook. You can go read all the books in your life, but you don't, at the end of the day, you don't know if you're doing this right or that right. But you have to follow that intuition and ask people in your arena of who you're surrounding yourself or your family to, like, you know, ask for advice and speak up for yourself. And you're not always going to be right. I'm not going to be the perfect mom, but I know that I'm a beautiful mom, and my son loves me, and just being patient and just validating myself at the end of the day. Because if you don't validate yourself as a woman, and you don't have your whole rituals, and every day you have to, like, you know, get up, wash your teeth, do the basic things and be happy about it, then who are you? Like, how are you going to serve your family? How are you going to serve, you know, whatever you're doing in your life? And I think it's just really about, like, validating yourself and really being happy that, you know, time is short on this humanly existence, and we have to have a good life. Like, don't settle for something you don't really like, because at the end of the day, like, you'll be 60 and looking back at your life like, I should have done that, or I should have done this. And just like owning like who you are right now and being happy.
Mm-hmm.
choosing it though, it's a choice. It's not something that just comes to you. It's something that you really have to work hard for. And people and women don't get that. Like, you have to stand up for yourself and be like, wait, I just did all the dishes, I did all the laundry for you as a woman, and that's another job that I'm not getting paid for, and I would really like your appreciation for it, because that's going to make me feel better. And just saying that to somebody is like, whoa, like, she really knows who she is, and like, I need to appreciate her. And I feel like that's where my passion for women is like, you need to speak up for yourself, and at the end of the day, you'll feel better, and then you're going to serve not only your family, but like the world around you in a better light.
Yes, I agree with that 100%. And also doing that in your personal relationships, like basically boundaries, like letting people know where you stand, and then they won't overstep you again, because everyone wants to push everyone else to kind of see how far they can be pushed. And then it's like, if you never say anything, you're like my mom and you're getting taken advantage of, and then complaining about it when you get home. And it's like, but you know that you don't like being taken advantage of, but then you're helping this person or doing this thing that you don't like.
But that's another thing, is like, on the flip side too, is like, we are women and we have a lot of unconditional love. So we do things because we have that. Like, as a mom, I will do things for my son, but I also will tell him and explain to him, like, in words, this is how I feel, and I want you to do this because it's going to serve us better, and we're going to flow better, and life is going to be so much better. So let's just do it this way. I love
the way that you talk to him, because he's what, 3?
He's 2.
2. And the way you talk to him is like an adult. He understands what you're saying, even though sometimes he doesn't listen. It's like Obi, like so similar in the way where like she understands exactly what I just said, but she's choosing not to listen because like they don't even have the attention span to even do that. Yeah. But I love the way that you talk to him and communicate with him, and I love your relationship because you are very honest and open, and you're not like, oh, goo goo gaga. Like, you're not speaking like just like he's a baby. You're speaking to him like he's a man, and so he's going to be one way sooner. I feel like he's taking responsibility for his actions.
I mean, of course, he's 2, and he's not going to comprehend things, but he's very smart, and he's so far beyond his years. And my nanny's like, he knows what you're saying, Brittany, so you need to like talk to him that way. And that's another thing, is like having a whole group around you to support you, and just validating who you are and what your decisions are. It's just, life is so much better.
Yes. Okay. So another thing, we're good on time. I hope everyone's enjoying this. I hope if anyone has questions or like certain thoughts on this, that they go on Instagram and like start a conversation, because we'll do a post and we'll do a couple of photos, and I'll post something. I think that there was a misconception around like what this podcast is and what it's about, just because it's about clean beauty. Like, it's not only about beauty products or like makeup or something like that. It's really about consciousness. And that's kind of what I want to call this. It's about lifestyle, health, wellness. It is all encompassing, because I feel like a clean beauty, like a beautiful woman, does a mixture of all these things in her own way, and comes out at the other side of life as a more beautiful person because of what they've done in the world, the beautiful things. I mean, Brittany has helped us with Sustainable Project. Again, something amazing, something she's not being paid for, something she's volunteering her time, that she believes in practicing sustainability. She is now not afraid to ask questions about like, should I continue shopping here? Should I buy this? Should I not buy that? Like, asking questions. And I'm constantly having conversations with all the women in my life about beauty, personal care, health, and all these different aspects. And then in turn, like, I ask Brittany like certain questions about things. And it's like not being afraid to ask, to want to know more. And so I just love this, because I feel like it's opening a door to a whole different audience, especially this episode, because it's not just about, you know, what you do. If you're talking about like doing acupuncture or something, it's like, it's just this whole mindset. And so,
and just with my history is, I love ancient medicine, whether that be a certain culture or not. And I just think it's really, especially in such a I don't want to say society. I want to say more about an external society where we see things, right, on the external, but at the end of the day, it's all about your internal. We're all connected. And just really bringing yourself back to earth and grounding yourself and seeing like the consciousness of like, okay, clean beauty. I think it's so important to have products that are from the earth that are not toxic to my skin internally or externally. And growing up, okay, my mom would have like these avocado face masks, and then she'll be like, "Oh, let's put mango peels on our face," and cucumber and stuff like that. And like nowadays, it's like, okay, no, it's not packaged. It doesn't look this way. It doesn't look that way. But at the end of the day, it's like, what's in there? How is it going to serve me? And how is it going to make me look more beautiful? And that's something that I value and a lot of people value. And in this industry, you're always talking about like, okay, things are not regulated, and it's so sad. We don't know what we're putting in, but it looks good on the external. And it's like, no, we need to like shift this entire consciousness about what we are putting on our skin. Are we making it ourselves? What are we putting on our skin that we know 100% sure? And how can we construct people's lifestyle to have it serving them and knowing that? And also like we're in this rush, always having to pay for this, pay for that. And it comes down to lifestyle. What is your ritual? What are you doing every day where it can be super efficient and then you're flowing through life where you don't feel stressed for it too?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like personal time, making time for yourself. And I know everyone says this and you're supposed to, and people think that they have the ritual, but at the end of the day, if you're just using a sheet mask from Target, I'm like, I don't care if you paid $5 or $10 or $25 for it. Like you can turn it over and the first ingredient 90% of the time is water. And like the companies don't mean to do this, but what happens, like I am now developing a product. Every single penny counts. And so what happens is you're like, oh, we're going to lose that 10 cents and we're not going to use the gold foil. Or, oh, we're going to like take that little spring off and then it'll another 10 cents times a million. We're talking about $10 million for 10 cents. So one little tiny ingredient matters a lot. And you think about the term watered down. I don't know if it's from the beauty industry or where that's from, but most products that you pick up, you will look at the back and the first ingredient is water. In parentheses, it will say aqua most of the time. It is a watered down product. They're trying to fill it up to reach the whatever ounces that it is. And then if you're really unlucky, which most of the time, most things in stores now have perfume or fragrance in it, that's the last ingredient or the fifth from last, because they're trying to cover up the chemical smell of the crap that they put in it in the first place. Because if the first ingredient is water, the second, third, fourth are probably preservatives to keep it from going bad with bacteria growing in it, because water, think about water in a dark, murky place, mixing with all these other things. And then you have fragrance at the end to make it kind of smell like something nice they know that we respond to smell, and that, some people have used the same Olay cream their whole life and they have a certain, my mom's Compacts CoverGirl back in the day, like if I ever smell those, it reminds me of like being in the car with her on the way to school. Like, scents bring, and same with perfume. I mean, it's not good for you, but I feel like knowing this and slowly changing, because at the end of the day, if you once you know something and you continue to do it, knowing that it's harmful for you, you are now internally, it's kind of like growing a little cancer. You have a little anxiety, you feel a little bad about it, you shouldn't be doing it. And then before you know it, you wake up one day and now you have a huge allergic reaction, or you have cancer, you have loss of eyesight like me, you have issues that have grown because you maybe knew, maybe you didn't, but once you do, you have a choice. You can start to make better choices for you and your family. And I feel like it all goes back to how you are treating everyone else too, right? Because once you know something, you want to share it. And so I think that's why this podcast exists and why I'm friends with the people that I am, because like we are self-aware. We like to share the knowledge of, and spread the message, whatever it is, clean living, clean health, clean beauty, all in one. So it's just like a really beautiful thing. So,
and adding on that, another thing is like, in my practice, it's so easy to tell people like, these are all the things you can do for yourself. And then they're going to look at me and be like, oh, so are you doing that for yourself? And it's so easy to talk the talk, but to actually walk the walk and be on that pedestal is really challenging. So that's another thing, is like the ritual of your day. It's going to be challenging, but at the end of it, you're going to reap so many different benefits. Your life is going to change. And not only that, but you'll have products like the one I'm developing that is coming out in the summer. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't like, okay, so I have a facial salve. It has Chinese herbs in it. It's based on coconut oil. It's great. It helps people with a variety of different skin types. I'm using it on myself for at least 2 months to see how my skin develops and reacts to it before I put it on the market, but it doesn't smell good. It probably won't smell good. And I can put all the essential oils that I want in it, but at the end of the day, they are Chinese herbs. And if you have any experience with Chinese herbs, they don't taste good, but they definitely help you. And I think just realizing that, like, you know, some of your food doesn't smell good on the plate that you're having, but you're still eating it. And I think that's something just to like take note of. Like, okay, yeah, you know if something's really bad, but you also know if it's just like some Chinese herbs, or it's just something that's the nature of the herb that you need. And just really like recognizing it. And you know,
it's like asparagus. Like no one likes the way that you smell, like, yeah. Right? Or like garlic. Come on, but we all know that it's good for us. Another product that made me think of what you were just saying is the everything oil. I've been using it, and it's prickly pear and something else, but it's like just cold pressed product, and it's like made into this oil, and it doesn't smell really like amazing. Like, yes, it comes in a glass bottle and it's beautiful, whatever, but it's not a lot of people have complained about the scent, and it's like, but this is the most natural thing you can get in this oil. It's called everything because you can use it for your eyes, to grow your hair, you're on your head, on your scalp for psoriasis. You could use it on your, like, I use full body, like, and so I think that they're, you know, and then you kind of get into that like, oh, well, it's hippie, it's crunchy, it's like, you know, whatever. And it's like, okay, but it's also healthy and not going to give me cancer. So you kind of have to make a decision into, you know, I don't wear perfume anymore. And that was one of my favorite things. I used to have 8 to 10 perfumes at a time and have $1,000 worth of perfume on my nightstand at any given day. I gave them all away. I threw them out. And it really affected me for the first few months, because I'm like, oh my God, I don't smell like my Tom Ford anymore. Like, I love that so much, but it's like improving my health. It's just cleaner living. And now I know what I actually smell like. You know, I never knew what my body scents actually smelled like until my body detoxed. Same with the deodorants. I switched off to the oils. I used to wear all the scented stuff from Victoria's Secret. I would buy packages every other month. The lotion, the body spray, the body wash. I smelled like Victoria's Secret all the time. So it took a while, but my skin is thanking me now. I'm way more glowy, and I actually have more energy because I'm not like bogged down by always having congestion. But I mean, yeah, like I said, it's just a lifestyle change. You have to know what's good for you. And some people are just not affected by it at all, but usually it comes later in life. Like I wore all those things for 20 years, and then I finally had a lot of health issues. So they build up. It's kind of like one day you get cancer. It's like, well, the cancer didn't just like one day be like, oh, I want to go to you. It's like, no, you like laid out in the sun for 20 years and now you have skin cancer. Yeah. It's that.
Totally. You know? And another thing is like back in the ancient day, they like would not shower for purposes of attracting like a mate through the pheromones. So just really like accepting who you are, how you smell is a good thing. That doesn't mean like not being clean. Mm-hmm. It just means like that's who you are, accept it and move on, and like, you know, produce what you want to produce and be happy and choose that.
Yeah. I think some people, though, should use like a body spray from Victoria's Secret. No,
Like me. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I don't smell you, but like some people at my Pilates class, I'm like, oh my God, why did they let that guy in here? But I think this was just such a great episode. I hope everyone enjoyed this. It was so fun to have Brittany over. She's not leaving anytime soon. I'm keeping her hostage. But we'll continue these conversations and let us know what else you guys want to hear and who you want to hear from. Brittany, where can everyone find you?
You can find me currently on Instagram. It's Homeostasis Medicine, HOMEOSTASIS, and then medicine. And I will be coming out with products and another business outlet in the summer. So stay tuned.
Yeah, if you ever want to meet up with us, she comes to almost every Rising Tide Silicon Valley chapter meeting, and she'll be at the Alt Summit this year in Palm Springs from March 24th through 28th, doing meet and greets with me. We're doing a styled shoot, 24th through 29th. So she'll be there meeting everyone, and we're just so excited to do a couple stylized shoots and do a few things we have in the works we can't talk about yet, but by the time you guys hear this, you'll already know. And then just in the Bay Area, if you guys need to tweak your body in some way or want some advice, Brittany is so open to talking through things before even seeing a patient to know. And
I also specialize in cosmetic facial acupuncture,
which my brides love. We bring her on site like the day of the wedding, sometimes before because a lot of brides get like super nervous. A lot of people don't like being the center of attention. And so what I have noticed is that like a bride knows it's going to be all about her. And so it's a lot of nerves. So Brittany comes in, she does this amazing reset, like body, face, whatever, or both, and treats the bridal party, sometimes just the bride and the mom, whoever's feeling a little anxious, so that they aren't drunk by the end of the ceremony. Like, there's either that or they're taking a Xanax and they don't remember the wedding. Like, we don't want that for anyone. And so doing something, creating a ritual, like Brittany's been really good about doing that with a lot of women. And so if you're thinking of getting married, or you have a big event or a speaking engagement, anything kind of like big league, you definitely need to reach out to Brittany or someone like her if you're not in California. I know she can be flown out for like really special things, but I feel like you should find someone local to you if you're, across the globe. And maybe even if you need a recommendation, she knows so many people. I mean, you lived in China.
Yeah, well, I actually studied in China. I went to Zhejiang Provincial Hospital, which is the oldest Eastern and Western medicine combined hospital, which inspired me so much. But yes, I have connections all over the world, and it's great just to connect with people that are on the same vibe and serve people in a more holistic way and not putting Band-Aids on everything. Like, for example, I just heard this on the radio. Like, why would you give a person a makeover that has like a runny nose and you're not cleaning that up? That would be such an ugly makeover. That would be so gross. But if we can clean up the root issue, then everything else flows. And
I agree. Totally. Well, we are going to continue drinking our champagne. Thank you for joining us today. If you could, please make sure you go leave us a review. Tell us what your favorite episode has been so far. And also share this with a woman who you feel that could use a little light in her life. Sharing this is like the most generous, most beautiful thing you can do, because this is such a small podcast. We've only been doing this a few months, but so many great things have come of it. And I would love to hear your story. So make sure you DM me on Instagram so we can become. This episode is so proudly sponsored by Claire Coleman at CC Assist
Virtual Assistant Services. CC Assist was established to provide the guidance, support, and resources you require, whatever the event or project. I can personally speak to Claire's amazing skills, and I have proof. Just check out my Pinterest. She's a pin wizard, and I have learned so much from her massive insights and guidance. She's definitely lent a helping hand with duties I find time-consuming and tedious. Get in touch with CC Assist if you are struggling to find time to respond to urgent inquiries, chase vendor requests, manage travel bookings, or just need a second pair of eyes to double-check a presentation. Working with Claire will make your life easier. What can you do with a virtual assistant in your life? Contact her today to find out how she can help at info@ccvirtualassistants.com. Be sure to mention this ad for a free consultation with Claire.
All right, so that's it for this week's episode on the Clean Beauty Podcast. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to head over to iTunes to review, rate, and subscribe to the channel. Until next week, stay beautiful.